Welcome back, everyone. Oz here, and today I've got some r/AmITheDevil for you all. As per usual, I'll be reading the posts, giving you my own opinion, and I hope you do the same down in the comments below. And without further ado, let's jump right into it. Cross-posted from r/AmITheAsshole. Am I the asshole? I asked for cheddar cheese on my sandwich. Incident first, then context. Last year, my partner and I were running errands and needed groceries. We were living near Buffalo, New York, and went to Wegmans, a large corporate chain like Kroger or Nando's. They had a cafe eating area with sandwiches, like a Subway, and we really needed lunch. I stood in line, read the menu, and after waiting for a lady to finish a complicated order, gave a simple one: ham with cheddar and pickles. The sign warned me they didn't have cheddar, so I said, cheddar or the next closest thing. The worker replied with a list, including American, which was not on the menu either, saying they didn't offer anything with artificial ingredients. I nodded and repeated my request. The worker wasn't sure what to do and offered the manager. I accepted and stood off to the side so other people could order. A few minutes later, the manager's chef comes out in a fucking toque, like he's not at a grocery store. He says no, they do not offer cheddar. I acknowledged this and repeated, cheddar or the most cheddar-like alternative. He continued to go on about their menu, and I maintained my stance calmly. Our stalemate was as follows, and we both acknowledged it. The manager's chef suggested provolone but refused to order it unless I agreed and requested it, and I was willing to accept it, but refused to request it. He said he wouldn't order an ingredient I didn't want, and I repeated, I would like cheddar or the most cheddar-like alternative. He said I was being difficult to make a point, and I said that was correct. Eventually, he re-offered provolone, checked that I acknowledged his assessment of it being the best alternative, asterisk, asterisk, asterisk. There are footnotes below, by the way. The first one was after he stated his sandwich being the ham, cheddar cheese, and pickles. And ordered the sandwich to be finished. We each left, I paid, and my partner and I ate. Which brings us to the further context. I'm mildly autistic and get hangry, especially when out shopping. Meat, cheddar, and pickles are my same food. I could tell from the menu that this was going to be an issue, asterisk, asterisk, and anticipated being offered American cheese. But they didn't actually do that. I did my best to be calm and polite, but assertive. I think the manager chef could have just grabbed some $3 cheddar from the shelves, or just ordered the provolone, or American if it was actually there, without a fuss. That said, I also acknowledge this is the pettiest thing I've done in a long time. And even though it's a year old, my partner feels like I was a major jerk. And I feel like it was a silly autism story. Am I the asshole or the chef or everyone? First asterisk, dill pickled chips like hamburgers. None of this pickle spear on the side nonsense. Asterisk, asterisk. At Subway, the workers just say, we don't have cheddar, is American okay? And I say yes, and we move on. Sometimes they don't ask and just put the yellow cheese on, and that's fine. I can adjust my cheese preference to suit what is available. And provolone is not a cheddar-like alternative. I blame this whole thing on New York deli ideas of what a sandwich should be. Cheddar or cheddar alternative? Could you maybe elaborate? No. I don't think it's right just referring to this as a silly little autistic mistake. You were being a pedantic asshole and being extremely stubborn, and then used autism as an excuse, not an explanation. If you took the approach of, I have autism so sometimes I can misread the situation and it put me in this position in X, Y, and Z, and using it to explain your behavior, not excuse it, that's one thing. But you're trying to excuse it as a silly little autism story. You were being purposefully difficult and purposefully an asshole. You wanted a specific sandwich? They had a sign that clearly said they couldn't accommodate that specific sandwich. And when they offered you alternatives, you didn't pick an alternative and kind of put them into a position where they had to order your sandwich for you despite not knowing your personal taste and preference, and you literally refused to request any kind of cheese substitute they offered. They can't read your mind, and their job is to fulfill your order, which you refused to give them. And instead just continue to repeat yourself with cheddar or a cheddar-like alternative. Okay? They told you they don't have cheddar, so what do you want? American cheese? Provolone? Answer the question. Don't just answer with cheddar or a cheddar-like alternative. That doesn't fix the problem here. You're just further complicating it, holding up the line and embarrassing yourself and your partner in the process. Then you hand-wave your behavior away as a silly little autism story. That makes everyone else with autism look bad, as if we'll just hand-wave our shitty behavior as, oh, don't worry, it's just the autism. Because now, thanks to stories like this, if anyone's like, hey, I may have missed this social cue because of the autism, now it's being seen as, oh, you're just using it as an excuse, huh? And not, hey, I literally could not read the social cue here, and I'm gonna need you to spell it out for me. It's not fair just to label your shitty behavior under the guise of autism. This doesn't even read like autism, by the way. This just reads like you're a smug bully who just wanted to be pedantic for the sake of proving a point. Especially with the fact that your silly little autism moment, you're just actively attacking people in your story. If this was just a silly little autism moment like you say it is, why are you making comments on what they're wearing? Why are you making swings at overcomplicated orders from the people in front of you? Also, if you're hangry or having hangry autism, you'd think the first thing that you'd want to do is make decisions as quick as possible to get your food into your gullet as fast as you humanly could, not sit there and argue the semantics of fucking cheddar or cheddar alternatives. Especially when it's spelled out to you with a big sign that says, sorry, we're out of cheddar! Cross-posted from r/AmITheAsshole. Am I the asshole for bringing up my sister's past divorce at her wedding? I, 32 male, am currently single, was at my sister's wedding this weekend, and things have gotten tense since. For context, my sister, 29 female, was previously married for about a year when she was 24. It ended pretty badly. There was a lot of arguing, and from my perspective, she rushed into it and ignored everyone's advice. Our family kind of just does not talk about it now, which I've always thought was weird because it happened and it clearly says something about decision-making. Anyway, at her current wedding, I was asked to give a speech. No one gave me any specific guidelines, just say something nice. I did start nice. I talked about growing up together, how she used to make me terrible instant coffee and stuff like that. But then, I pivoted into what I thought was a meaningful point about growth. I said something along the lines of how we all have seen her make big commitments before that did not work out, and how it's important to really think things through this time. I even added that hopefully her new husband knows what he's getting into and is ready for the long haul, unlike last time. People got really quiet, but I figured it was just because it was honest. I do not think weddings should just be fake positivity. After the speech, my sister was visibly upset and told me I humiliated her on purpose. Her husband did not say much, but looked pretty uncomfortable. A couple of relatives told me that was completely inappropriate, and that a wedding is not the place to bring up past mistakes, especially something like a divorce. I told them I was trying to highlight her personal growth and the seriousness of marriage, but apparently that made it worse. My mom has not spoken to me since, and my sister says I made the happiest day of her life about her worst one. In hindsight, maybe I could have worded it differently, but I still feel like pretending the past did not exist is dishonest. At the same time, I can see why she might not have wanted it brought up right then. You can see why she maybe doesn't want her divorce being brought up at her wedding? It is not a mystery why you are single, my dude. You're 32, and your sister was 24 when she was divorced. That was 5 years ago. She's 29 now. Out of all of the things you could have talked about, of her 5 years of personal growth, you focused on a mistake she made 5 years ago. How do you not see that you humiliated your sister on her big day? Also, one of the most kind of annoying people out there are the people who say, well, I'm just being honest, as a guise to disguise the fact that they're just openly being an asshole for no reason other than honesty. You're not being honest if no one brought the topic up and you just bring it up out of nowhere for the sake of it. You're just being an asshole and disguising it as honesty. And to top it all off, you're being an asshole at your sister's wedding, bringing up her previous divorce. Cross-posted from r/AmITheAsshole. Am I the asshole for keeping my daughter in the house? I, 34 female, live with my husband, 37 male, my daughter, 15 female, and son, 11 male. My daughter and son are from a previous marriage. There was no malice in the divorce between my ex and I, so we allowed the kids to decide who they would live with. Right now, me, primarily, and Dad on the weekends. Now, about a week ago, my husband and I sat the both of them down and announced that I am pregnant, and they will be having a little brother or sister. My son was over the moon, wanting to feel my stomach, even though there was nothing to feel. Just overall happy. My daughter, on the other hand, just gave a small smile and said she was happy for us. My daughter has always been a bit apathetic towards most things, and my husband took notice of that quickly after they have met, and has brought it up to me a few times. Noticing her reaction, or lack thereof, my husband let out a groan and said, "You could at least pretend to be happy. That's what normal people do." My daughter just looked at him for a few seconds and then left the room without a word. I didn't think much of it until the weekend came, and when my ex came for pickup, I noticed my daughter had packed more than usual. I knew she was planning on spending more than the weekend and told her to go put some of the clothes back. She refused and tried to leave, but I closed the door and told her and my ex she wasn't going. Later that night, my ex called, ranting about how my daughter had called him crying about how she didn't want to live with me and my husband anymore. She told him he was mean and brought up the fact that he would often call her Sophiopath, her name is Sophia, and that I just let him and never stuck up for her. I told him that my husband didn't mean anything by it and that it was all in good fun, which is why I didn't say anything. I told my husband about it and told him he needed to apologize for what he said, which he did, but got visibly frustrated when she just stared at him until he left the room. After the weekend was over, my ex brought our son back for school, and he asked his sister if she was going to live with their dad from now on. My son adores his sister, and I know that if she decides to live with their dad, he will too. On Monday morning, I caught my daughter packing clothes in her backpack. She said her dad was going to pick her up after school and drop her off the next day, since she didn't get to spend the weekend. I told her that she wasn't going to her dad's and that she was staying home from school that day. My daughter called my ex and told him everything, and now he keeps calling, saying that we had an agreement and that if she wants to live with him, that I have to let her. He threatened to take me to court for custody if I was going to keep her locked up like a prisoner. I don't want to lose my kids and hurt the relationship they have with their stepfather and future sibling over a misunderstanding, but I also don't want to go back on my word and have to fight my ex over custody. So, am I the asshole? Yes, you don't want to lose your kids and hurt the relationship they have with their stepfather. The misunderstanding where he called her Sophiopath. That relationship? That's the one that you want to preserve? Sadly, the worst, who is also the person who cross-posted this, went and collected the comments. For those of you unaware, Sadly the Worst is a frequent contributor on r/AmITheDevil, and they also sometimes can be found lurking in the comment section. I see you. Content warning for excusing child abuse and ableist language, copied verbatim from OP's comments. Cute nickname? All in good fun? Are you serious? If your son's name was Ron and your husband called him an ableist term with replaced with Ron, would it be a cute nickname too? The fact your daughter is apathetic towards things doesn't mean she has no feelings at all. It seems you forgot about it long time ago, when calm and introverted people such as your daughter act like this. It means they're in despair. I bet the Sophiopath is not the only episode of that good fun your husband made of her. You just didn't see it, or chose not to see it. And yes, when you're grounding your daughter because you fear that she won't come back, you're only making things worse. Keep it up and you won't hear a thing about your daughter since she'll be able to live separately. It was literally painful to read. You're the asshole. Big time. Hope he responds, I never said the name was cute, but she never expressed that she had a problem with the name. The dork never said they didn't like swirlies, so I just kept doing them. Jeez. You're the asshole. You've made it very clear you don't even care about your daughter. You don't want her to leave because your son would want to as well. You've made it obvious your son is your pride and joy as well as your favorite, and you just can't lose him now, can you? You let your husband verbally abuse your daughter, and who knows what else behind closed doors. I don't have a favorite child. I love both of my children. If I only cared about keeping my son, I wouldn't have let him go to his father's either. You weren't supposed to say that one out loud. There is nothing sinister going on behind closed doors in my house. You're the asshole. You're making your daughter a prisoner because you demand that she be happy you're pregnant again. Let her go. Why are you punishing her for your choice to have another kid at almost 40? Also, your daughter is right. Calling her sociopath is not just fun. That lame excuse is used by every bully on the planet. Your husband was being cruel, and you let him. If you want any kind of future relationship with your daughter, then let her go. I have no resentment towards my daughter for her reaction to my announcement. As I said before, she is apathetic towards most things, and she had been since she was little. Her reaction did not surprise nor bother me. You're the asshole. Your kids have a choice who they live with until it's not you, and then you go as far as to keep them home from school to get your way. That's absurdly controlling. And your husband, holy fuck, he's bullying your daughter and you let him do it. And you wonder why she doesn't have many outward feelings of emotion. Poor kid. I hope your ex does go for more custody. They deserve better parents than you and your husband. My husband is not the cause of her lack of emotion. She has always been this way since she was younger. Sorry, misread, but still, you basically said she does not tend to express her feelings. Don't you see a pattern here? I don't know what pattern you mean. I've said in other threads that she has been like this for a long time, even when her father and I were still together. But she has shown emotion and said something if something was bothering her in the past, but she never said anything about the name. The pattern in question, by the way, is that your daughter doesn't show emotion, or at least as much as you would like her to. And additionally, she's never said anything about not liking the name Sophiopath. If she hasn't liked something, she's said it in the past. So your emotionless, quote-unquote emotionless daughter hasn't said anything about the fact that your husband is bullying her and she doesn't like it, but has, in fact, actually said something to your ex. She expressed that she doesn't like that name to your ex, to a parent who loves her. And what's your response? You kept her home from school and locked her in her room. My question is, do you love both children equally, or do you just love the child support checks you get for watching them 5 out of 7 days a week? Now that your daughter has decided she's done with your bully of a husband, you're realizing that if she goes, your son goes. And guess who's gonna have to pay child support now? Your ass. Because you made it really clear that if the daughter left, so would the son. You made that crystal clear that that was something you thought about. The son would follow. I thought the kids could choose their custody arrangements. I thought you were A-okay with that. But suddenly, under the threat of your daughter changing to a new home where you know that your son might follow, that warrants locking her in her room and not allowing her to leave under any circumstance? Do you see that pattern? Because I sure do! Cross-posted from r/AmITheAsshole. Am I the asshole for considering my dog escaping and running through the neighborhood on a semi-regular basis as a normal part of having a dog? My roommate and I got a very friendly dog this past summer. At first, we kept him inside and outside about half the time each. We keep him inside most of the time now. When he was outside, he did not have a habit of slipping off his chain. My roommate likes to keep the front door open for her toddler to play outside on the porch and come in and out freely. We put a couple of bins stacked in front of the stairs as a toddler gate. The dog learned that he can run and leap over those bins. For a month or two, he didn't do this. One day we turned around and he was just gone. We didn't even know how he was escaping for quite a while. It was probably every other day. My neighbors started getting an attitude with us on principle about keeping track of him. Not much changed with that. We just wait for him to come back. He's not usually gone for more than a few hours. Eventually, he figured out how to jump out of my bedroom window too. It's partially open because of the rolling AC unit's tube that exhausts through the window. Now we shut him in the bathroom when we leave. There's a skinny window in there about the width of a hand long ways. We open that window to air out the bathroom. He somehow figured out how to jump through that. This is a big 80-pound dog. Just looking at him in the window, it doesn't make sense. We started leaving it open only the first few inches, it locks in place, and he figured out how to jump out of that too, baffling us even more. Now, we mostly remember to shut the bathroom window, but on occasion we forget, or he's only supposed to be in there for a few minutes. A nearby resident apparently came to the door today while I was at work, asking if the dog is ours. She said yes, our dog fits her description. The lady gave her an attitude about it and said, "Your dog almost got into a fight with my dogs in my yard. You really need to start keeping track of your dog better." She didn't even bring him back. She just drove to our door without him, apparently to rant. My roommate sarcastically said, "Have a nice day," and slammed the door in her face. We live in a trailer park, and a new company that bought the park completely banned fences of all kinds. If you already had a fence, it's grandfathered in, but I'm not allowed to have one. At this point, he probably gets out about once a week. Are we the assholes here, or the lady in my direct neighbor, or the trailer park office? What else are we supposed to do? As far as we're concerned, a dog escaping and running off sometimes is just a normal part of owning a dog. No! In the r/AmITheDevil post, user Insane Content comments, grabbing a quote from one of OP's comments, "I feel bad for him. He deserves to get out more. He's not running away because he hates us. He comes back on his own, but it seems like he's just taking himself for walks because we pretty much don't. We're too depressed, busy, or low energy to do much more, unfortunately." Fucking hell, why even get a dog if you're not gonna do a thing with it? Then again, I was curious what breed of dog it was, and took a quick look at his history. And one of his few posts is, "Have you ever had skid marks on the outside of your pants?" And I don't think he's talking about the kind you get from wheels. I really think you need to rehome this animal. I don't think that you have the proper environment in the slightest to be a good dog parent. A dog getting out, starting fights with local neighborhood dogs, and just constantly finding any way to escape. It's not normal dog behavior, it's just you being irresponsible and not giving a shit. Using, buckets as a baby gate? No, sorry, bins. Using bins as a stacked way in front of the baby gate. That's... Oh my god. Like, you should not have this animal. You are nowhere near responsible enough to have this animal. You nor your housemate or roommate or whatever you want to call them. You guys just shouldn't have this dog at all if you're not going to give this much of a shit about him because, one, the dog could very easily end up getting injured, whether getting hit by someone, getting in a fight with another dog, getting attacked by another animal, a wild animal for that case, or even getting into something that could seriously harm them. Or your dog could seriously harm someone else, or someone's kid, or someone else's dog. This is not just, it's just part of owning a dog. No, this is part of being an irresponsible dog owner, and your actions are going to cause someone or something to get seriously hurt. If you don't feel you're able to be responsible enough to have an animal like this, please rehome them. Cross-posted from r/AmITheAsshole. Am I the asshole for thinking I was treated unfair at my birthday? I recently celebrated my 28th birthday. Due to ongoing circumstances, it was not a big party. This took place during COVID, by the way. My nephew celebrated his 8th birthday a couple of days after mine, so I figured to share the celebration would be a good idea. I asked my sister, and she was okay with it. We divide food and drinks and snacks in two. It was a family-only thing. So, a few days before the event, my sister asks what I wanted as a present. I didn't really know, so I said a gift card from a clothing store. My mother also asked, and I told her the same. At the event at my sister's place, I was early to help with preparation, and she had already placed an envelope and a box of chocolate for me. I acted surprised. She requested to do so since I already knew what present I'd get. Looked into the card and found said gift card from the requested store. To my surprise, every other adult family member had signed the card. Mom plus dad plus brother and said sister. Everything good so far. I mean, I didn't have an actual wish for my birthday. After everyone arrived and presents had been given to my little nephew, He also requested gift cards for specific Star Wars toys. I later found out that my nephew received gift cards for $140, while I received gift cards from the same people for $50. I did not expect to receive $140. To be clear, I just think the difference between is a bit off. Am I the asshole for feeling unfairly treated? Edit, I did expect my nephew to get more than me. He is a kid, so obviously he will get more than an adult. I mean, you shared a birthday with an 8-year-old who wants Star Wars toys, and, probably finding and hunting those down is going to be a pain in the ass, so yeah, gift cards make sense. You also didn't really help your family out by giving them any specifics, so they just kind of went for the easy route of getting you a gift card. Also, as an adult with disposable income, it is so goddamn hard to give out gift recommendations. So honestly, $50 to my favorite clothing store, yeah, that checks out, that's fine. I'm just here really to talk with people and to just kind of socialize and celebrate and see people I don't see often. Something I really couldn't appreciate when I was a kid. But I don't understand why you're posting here, because they gave you what you asked for. You asked for a gift card, and you apparently knew that your nephew would be getting more than you, and yet here you are posting on r/AmITheAsshole, complaining that you got $50 and a child got $140. $140, which he probably only gets maybe once or twice a year, depending on if they celebrate Christmas and if they give out money on Christmas. Also, have you seen how expensive Legos are? If he's lucky, he might get 1 or 2 medium-sized sets, maybe one large one. Lego Soundwave alone is $189. I'm gonna stop now before I start getting sad about the fact that having quality physical toys like Legos and Transformers and whatnot are now a luxury and have been overpriced to hell and back. So, yeah. Cross posted from r/AmITheAsshole. Am I the asshole for threatening to take a pet back to the breeder? Am I the asshole for threatening to take my kid's hedgehog back to the breeder? My 40 female, child 13 male, has been struggling in school. I've tried everything. This week, I've gotten multiple emails from his teachers about rude and disrespectful behavior. He's not doing his schoolwork in class. He's been begging to be homeschooled. I believe he thinks I'm going to be an easier teacher. I expect a lot more. I've been trying to find employment that would make it easier for me to homeschool. I'm at my wit's end. Last year for his birthday, I took him to a breeder to get a hedgehog. I made him a deal that he buys the hedgehog and toys and I'll buy the food, bedding, etc. He worked mowing lawns for a couple years to afford his new pet and had been consistent with wanting one. I made sure he researched the care of hedgehogs and asked him a lot of questions to make sure he was aware of the responsibility. Now, like I said, I've tried everything. I don't expect good grades, but I do expect effort. He simply does not care. After this last email, I came home and told him that if he doesn't get his grades up and at least tries 2 F's and a D by the end of the year, I will be calling the breeder and take the hedgehog back. He threatened to run away. My youngest, 10 male, is threatening that he'll hate me forever and never speak to me again. I need some outside perspective on if I'm the asshole. Edit to add, yep, I'm the asshole, kinda figured. The hedgehog stays. Edit to add, update. So I don't have to repeat myself. I apologized to him. Told him what I did was wrong and will never do it again. Told him I'm sorry and I need to do better. He confessed he's been getting harassed/bullied by a couple of kids. Asked him which classes, which happened to be the ones he's really struggling with. His eyes got big when he made the connection. Told him the plan is to get him to a therapist for an official diagnosis, AUDHD or ADHD, so we can set up an IEP. I'll be sending an email to the teachers tomorrow to make them aware of what's happening in class, and will include the principal. Thank you everyone who responded with empathy rather than venom. It is a relief that OP, in the end, in the final edits, understood that what they did was not okay, and they're trying to do well by their child, by giving them the help they need. Initially, OP was trying to treat the symptom, not the actual sickness itself. The sickness being her child's torment in school. Which then, by trying to treat the symptom of bad grades by thinking that it's a motivation issue and threatening to remove their beloved pet that they worked extremely hard for and bought with their own money, That just compounds the fact that there is no safe place. At school, you're getting bullied and your grades are going down, and thus, because you're being bullied and your grades are going down, now your mom's going to take away your beloved hedgehog. The unfortunate part is that even with OP realizing their mistakes and trying to be better by it, that threat is still going to linger over their child's head, and it's still going to constantly be a reminder of when things were going bad, rather than being there for me and trying to help me get on track, instead, something precious to me was threatened to be taken. The biggest hope that I have is that OP continues to try to make the right decisions by her child, and continues to help them where she can, and continues to show, hey, I did mess up here, but I'm trying to show you now that I am a safe place that you can rely on and you can count on. One of my first and unfortunate assumptions is that OP, while growing up, probably had a similar parenting style pushed onto them, where when they were failing or having bad grades, something important to them was leveraged and used as a threat, where if you don't get your act together, you lose this. And don't get me wrong, it's one thing to ground your child if they're having bad grades and be like, okay, until you get your grades back up, no more PlayStation, no more Xbox, no more computer. Get your grades up and we'll talk. But it's another thing to then turn around and go, okay, you have bad grades, I'm gonna sell your Xbox, I'm gonna sell your PlayStation, I'm gonna sell your computer. A temporary restriction at least gives them a goal to work towards and the knowledge that with enough effort, they can have those privileges back. But a permanent removal? Why fucking bother? You already got rid of it, what's the point of trying to get it back? And that's with things, possessions. This is an animal, a dearly cherished friend, that the child was just taught with a single sentence, hey, that hedgehog is disposable, and I have no problem using it as leverage against you. But thankfully it does seem that OP sees where they went wrong, and are able to help their son get the help they need. Cross-post from r/AmITheAsshole. Would I be the asshole if I don't return the espresso machine I got for free? A neighbor in my building posted they have things they were giving away for free last week. I came by, got a few nice houseplants and an espresso machine. A week later, the girlfriend, or maybe now ex, of the guy who was giving the free things came to my door saying he wasn't supposed to have given those things away and asked for them back. I gave her back the houseplants, but the espresso machine is at my work office. Would I be the asshole if I didn't give it back? My roommate says the transaction has already been done, but maybe it's wrong to keep it? My office mates are stoked on the new espresso machine. Should I give it back? So, I think both legally and morally you are in the wrong here, buddy, because for starters, how would you feel if your girlfriend, or soon-to-be ex-girlfriend, gathered up a bunch of your shit and handed it out to your neighbors? And you went to get it back, and they were like, sorry, dude. Your dog? Yeah, my coworkers really like the dog, so I'm keeping it at the office. Like, you wouldn't be happy with that answer. You'd be pretty pissed off, rightfully so. Also, depending on the state, assuming you're in the US, receiving stolen property is a crime, and can be a Class 4 felony, which then upon receiving it, you're now in possession of stolen property, which is also a crime. So you're kinda stacking them up there, dude. For a misunderstanding where the boyfriend gave it to you and you took it, you're not gonna get arrested for that, but once you're informed the property was stolen, well, yeah, clock's ticking now. Also, by you giving the plants back but not the espresso machine, you're actually kind of admitting that you understand the possessions were stolen or improperly obtained, but you're still holding on to one. That's not gonna look good on you if this ends up going to court, or even if charges end up being pressed against you. Just giving you a heads up on that one, buddy. I understand that your coworkers like it, but you received stolen goods, so don't be a dick and give her espresso machine back. Oh hey, it's May the 4th. Anyways, don't forget gamer subs, use code AZ at checkout. Every purchase made supports the channel directly. They also have a non-anime section for those of you that don't like anime and just want stuff that's not anime themed. As a heads up, by the way. I'm also hoping to do my first little Gunpla building stream thingamabob this week. I'll have more actual updates when I plan to do that. I don't know if it'll be Warhammer and painting Warhammer, or if it'll be just straight up building Gunpla sets. One of the two. But I'll have more info on that and where it'll be hosted and all that kind of stuff when the time comes. I'm also talking with Damien to get the next stream that we're going to do and host together set up. We kind of have just been busy and back and forth and keep forgetting to actually, give each other our schedules and when we're doing stuff. So that's... We play games together all the time, but we keep forgetting to organize work stuff, so that's a bit of an oops. Anyways, I'll catch you all next time.